Las Cathaoirleach. I have to apologise for arriving in slightly late because I've just come from the Phoenix Park Special School where the pupils and the teachers and the staff have been involved in creating a very special garden which is called a sensory garden, which will allow the students to be out in an outdoor classroom when the weather is appropriate and to be surrounded not just by the trees of the Phoenix Park but also to be surrounded by appropriate planting of herbs and sensory plants, which of course also attract the biodiversity that the statements are about. And in that context, can I just say at the moment, there are a number of specific threats in Dublin to biodiversity, and I think the Minister has to give us an answer, or her government has to give us an answer, because she's not responsible directly in ministerial terms for all of it. First of all, recently we have had a lot of debate in Dublin about bus connects, and while I think the vast majority of people agree in principle with many of the elements of bus connects, Dubliners cannot stand by while this government plan essentially proposes to cut down hundreds and hundreds of mature trees on some of the most beautiful roads and avenues in Dublin. Because if you're talking about clean air, and trees being like natural vacuum cleaners in an area of heavily polluted urban streets where there's lots of traffic, you really, Minister, have to talk to your government colleagues, including, I think, is he the colleague from your own constituency, the Minister for Transport, to please save the trees in Dublin. We want better public transport. We want more buses. Everybody wants that. But we don't want to lose, on a widespread basis, the trees that in many ways are the glory of a lot of different roads in Dublin. The second thing I want to talk about is that, unlike in France, Germany and many other countries, when builders go to develop a site, not just in Dublin, but in all the urban regions of Ireland, to be honest, they're like the foresters and they're like the people who decide to cut down the rainforest and to clear fell. There is an approach on Irish building sites which you don't see in Germany, you don't see in France, you don't see in many other European countries. But again, our trees, their bird populations, their insect populations, the bat populations are the target of clear felling to give the developer a clear felled site. Now, this is a cultural change. We're builders. A lot of my family are builders or tradesmen in the building industry, and I know everybody wants a clean site to work on, just as a chef might need a clean table to prepare a meal. But please, Minister, and your government, can you actually get Minister Eoin Murphy to amend the laws so that in development and planning we actually respect the biodiversity and the environmental heritage that we've inherited in cities and towns right around the country, and not clear fell, when there's a building site involved, all the trees. And that brings me to the third point. As somebody, I'm part of a group called the Fingal Walkers, and for those who don't know North County Dublin, it's a vast agricultural area. And piece by piece, the hedgerows, over a very short time period, are being increasingly cut down. And I think, Minister, in this case, what you have to do is look at what farmers, in effect, are being paid to do, which is to make their farming more efficient and therefore cut down or reduce hedgerows, rather than having a policy which would actually acknowledge their critical role in relation to looking after hedgerows, which essentially in Ireland are vast ribbons of natural wildlife corridors and biodiversity corridors. And anyone from abroad who's visiting Ireland on a regular basis and who's frequently in the countryside will remark that as a plane flies into Dublin Airport or Cork Airport and you look down, what you will see is that, blanket of green fields surrounded by hedgerows is gradually being stripped and stripped and stripped. And that is because the farmers have been given an unpalatable alternative between reducing hedgerows and making their farming more efficient, and the government, which has a policy on this, stepping in to support the retention of hedgerows. We've already had a discussion, Minister, about the disastrous fires that occurred around Easter time in the Killarney region, where many thousands of acres were destroyed. And I know at the time you indicated that you had no idea who was responsible. But I think locally there's a lot of local knowledge. And again, it's about being with the farming community and the landowners and working out a system which will provide for a safe approach so that absolutely valuable, I'm sure that what I'm saying is not comfortable hearing for Deputy Healy-Rae, but I'm talking about people who want to see our natural assets in terms of our countryside as well as farming being managed in a cooperation. Stop pointing your finger at me. How dare you? Stop pointing your finger. Just stop pointing your finger.
It's been very ugly, Ollie. You insinuated insinuations.
I have said very clearly that I want a structure, and I want the Minister and the Government who are responsible for the policy to recognise the role of farmers in relation to preserving biodiversity. Because there are very few farmers that I know of, maybe some of them are here, but there are very few farmers that I know who don't love the land and love everything that comes with the land. But we do have to acknowledge that in terms of being efficient in land terms, it often involves nowadays that the land, things like hedgerows should be reduced. And I'm saying to the Minister, she needs to reconsider this. Can I just say again, in relation to the Government's recent proposal in relation to the Phoenix Park, which is where I started, because as a child I largely grew up in the Phoenix Park, which probably is bigger than most farms in Ireland. I lived in an area which had no gardens, but right beside it we had the Phoenix Park, and that was our natural playground. And all I can say is, Minister, that your recent government commissioned review of the future uses of the Phoenix Park, which in answers to my questions, your government has acknowledged, cost around €400,000 for a 200-page review. Can I just say to you, Minister, please, we want the Phoenix Park, which is Dublin's green lung, to remain available as a major park for both the people of Dublin and indeed the citizens of Ireland. We resent the idea in the report that there should be a development of retail in the Phoenix Park. We resent it because we have small artisan-type cafes with local food producers and local cafes actually providing to people's needs. We have a really successful bike scheme in the park, again with the local provider to the Dublin area, and we have hundreds of young people and visitors to Dublin cycling through the park and really enjoying it. Now, in your plans, in some way or other, to provide more retail and to provide a visitor experience for people from cruise ships. Please be careful that you don't destroy what actually attracts the visitors from home and abroad in the first place. I'm just asking you to err on the side of caution and consultation. That report was launched just after St. Patrick's Day, and we were given 2 weeks to reply to 200 pages of a report. I raised it with the Taoiseach, I raised it with your minister in the OPW, and I'm happy to say just as the local elections were about to begin, the Taoiseach announced that the review period would actually be extended to the end of this week, to the 31st of May, and I welcome that. But can I just say, I put a modest proposal that the review would be put and made available in every public library in Dublin, and I would say in Ireland, because it's such a national treasure. We didn't get that, and that's a failure of imagination, because if you want to save biodiversity, what your government probably needs more than anything else is to try to imagine what is it necessary to do to preserve the variety of species and to preserve the variety of flora and fauna, which unfortunately, like many other countries, we're losing at a rapid rate. That applies in town, that applies in country. I realise that the gentleman opposite, when somebody like me coming from Dublin dares to stand up and speak, that is really, really difficult. But all I will say to them is I do respect that they probably love our country just as much as I do, and I think they should be honourable in acknowledging that.
Connolly, please.